Okay, welcome everybody to the final game of the season from the West Division between Lorenzo, Somma and Josh Grace. Just looking at the ladder before we start here. Josh is 12 points down on Bob, but because Josh won the head-to-head against Bob, he can actually, if he clean sweeps Lorenzo here, he can take the West Division title. In terms of formats, Josh can also take Legacy because he beat me in the head-to-head match. So if he beats Lorenzo here, then he takes the title as well. For Lorenzo, a good showing would give him an outside shot of finals as a wild card, but it's doubtful. I think if he wins the Legacy, then he can scrape in. So we're going to jump now into the standard match. I was a little bit late into this, but it's Josh Grace at the top of the screen on Mardu vehicles up against, I believe, Grixis at the bottom for Lorenzo. Lorenzo is traditionally a stronger Legacy player, I believe. I have to confirm that with him. But that seems to be the impression that I get over a number of seasons now that he's played in the league. He performs very well in Legacy. As he wastes no time here firing off an Essence Scatter to counter that Walking Blister. I'm not sure if he realises what Josh is on at this stage, but one of the important parts for Josh is to resolve an early artifact, because he has a lot of artifact synergies with cards like Unlicensed Disintegration and Toolcraft Exemplar. So he's going to have a Bomat Courier here. And before that gets a chance to attack and get a trigger, he's going to get Harness Lightning down. Yeah, so this pressure is on here, I guess, on Josh. He needs to get the clean sweep to get the title. He's not under a huge amount of pressure because getting the division title means he gets a 1 week bye in the playoffs, but finishing second will still get him a playoff spot. If he misses out on that second spot, then see, here's the Unlicensed Disintegration, but it's not going to push the 3 damage because he doesn't have an artifact, but he does it with the Will of Virtuoso trigger on the stack, so there's not going to be an extra 3 energy there for Lorenzo. Yeah, this is a very strong division, so it's highly likely whoever finishes third is going to get a... Okay, Hazoret's going to be able to attack here. Whoever finishes third is going to be able to probably get a wildcard spot. Likewise in Legacy, even if Josh was to win Legacy and take the division Legacy title, there's quite a strong possibility that I can get a wildcard spot as well. Though I will be barracking for Lorenzo come Legacy. So we're looking at Lorenzo's hand at the moment, a Scarab God and a Torrential Gearhulk. He's a land short. He does have a Search for a Skanda to help him find what he needs, and he does have enough energy to make one more Thopter. He's going to make that now, which should probably serve as a blocker against that Hazoret. Josh is out of cards now. He took that opportunity to abrade the Will of Virtuoso. There's the 5th land, so Scarab God going to come down now, and when Lorenzo's got a Gearhulk in hand, you would think it probably favours him now, because Scarab God doesn't have the indestructible that the Hazoret does, so even though the Scarab God is going to be able to block, it will die, and it will mean that Lorenzo has to recast it. Planus Ballista is very good here because it enables him to shoot down that Thopter, which would have otherwise been a chump blocker. It is going to trigger the Toolcraft Exemplar as well because it's an artifact. So if Lorenzo wants to block, well actually that ended up being quite an easy block. I think there's a bit of a misplay there from Josh. What I suspect he was going for was to use the Ballista to shoot down the Scarab God. But we can see now Scarab God's going to be able to go off. See if he's interested in... He is. So he's going to create a zombie in the upkeep of the Will of Virtuoso. Nice. So he's going to be able to make another Thopter as well. So 4/4 Will of Virtuoso, bringing a Thopter along with it. And the 6th land for the Torrential Gearhulk. So Lorenzo's looking in pretty good shape at the moment. Straight away makes that Thopter. This is a pretty safe attack here. I think he'd be happy to chump with the... he'd be happy if the Ballista chumped here. The Ballista's going to be able to shoot down that Thopter at the end of the turn, so Hazaret's going to be able to get in again. And also the Will of Virtuoso is only going to be a chump blocker if it chooses to block, because Toolcraft Exemplar is going to be able to get first strike on the Virtuoso, and then the final point of damage can be done by the Ballista here. So that's 8 points of damage coming across. We'll see how Lorenzo wants to block. Well, he's not going to get anything out of this except save 3 points of damage, because you can see Josh is out of cards, so he's activating Ballista here has pretty much cost him nothing. So he'll do the point of damage first. Well, there's a mistiming there, I think. Oh no, he doesn't own 3. He doesn't have 3 artifacts. He only gets first strike with 3 artifacts. So it's a trade in the end. And Scarab God now proving to be very difficult. I mean, Hazaret proving very difficult to deal with, but Scarab God proving very resilient on Lorenzo's side. Again, he declines the Gearhulk in favour of an activation. This time he can swing with the Scarab God and elicit a chump block. He'll fire this off first on the Ballista so that Ballista cannot get a Thopter. So see if the Bowmat Courier chumps here. No, it doesn't. Down to 8. Heart of Quran is the draw. So what can he do now? At 8, Bowmat Courier is going to get in, so he can sack this for free and just get the extra card draw. It's just a free block here from Lorenzo. And he draws a Scrap Heap Scroungers. That was a good find. It's going to enable him to activate the Heart of Quran as a blocker on the next turn. So again, though, he's taking 2 damage in the upkeep because 2 zombies in play. Although, I'm not sure if that Thopter is a zombie. No, it's not. Yeah, it's just a token. Just has that funny footprint to mean token, I think. No viable attacks there, so this time he's going to the Gearhulk route. Nothing going on Josh's side either. He does have 1 card in hand, so what's Gearhulk going to bring back here? Okay, that's a nice one. A Harness Lightning. So the Scrap Heap Scrounger comes back tapped, I believe, so it's not going to be able to... We'll get confirmation now. It's not going to be able to crew the Heart of Quran. We'll check. Okay, it is going to be able to crew, so that was a waste of time. He probably should have then done that to try and ambush the Heart of Quran when it moves to blocks. He does have the Heart of Quran in hand, so he's the Harness Lightning hand, so he's going to be able to bolt down this Heart of Quran this time. You can see Josh could only draw another one, which is useless when it's legendary. So he'll bolt that down, and I believe that's lethal. So we're going to go to game 2. Yes, it is. Concession. So game 2 now, Josh on the play. Remembering, Josh has to get the clean sweep 3-0 in order to win the division. So Bob Debonese also barracking here for Lorenzo. We look at Lorenzo, he's kept a 5-land hand with just Glintsleeve, Siphoner and a Braid. Draws a second Siphoner. Plays out his first one. So Josh can play the Veteran Motorist here to get his Scry 2. Or a Ballista will also shoot down the Glintsleeve Siphoner. He doesn't have the 4th land to play Ballista for 2, so he's going to go that way anyway, just to prevent the early damage and the potential card draw that comes from Siphoner, but unfortunately for him, there's another one on its way, I'm guessing. 3rd land for Lorenzo, and a 2nd Glintsleeve. Goes to 3 energy, so he's going to be able to draw from it next turn. This time we see the Veteran Motorist to get the Scry. This allows Josh to Scry 2, but with the Scry on the stack, it'll get Magma Sprayed down, so that'll exile the Veteran Motorist. He is going to play out a Scrap Heap Scrounger. I'm not sure if Lorenzo would have rather have Magma Sprayed that Scrounger. It is going to get Vraska's Contempted, so that's going to exile it as well. Gain 2 life for Lorenzo, and Glintsleeve Siphoner can get in here. So Josh playing out another Scrap Heap Scrounger and a Heart of Quran. So he's going to be able to crew the Heart of Quran next turn. You can see he's got the Hazaret. So Hazaret's going to be able to attack next turn. Glintsleeve can get in here as well because it has Menace. Okay, he's going to be able to braid down that Heart of Quran. So no blockers on Josh's side now. But he will have 8 damage coming across next turn, and a Settle the Wreckage is a very big draw here. Oh, Hazaret's going to get countered by Supreme Will. A nice play from Lorenzo there. 3 damage will come across, putting Lorenzo down to 17. But Lorenzo's going to be able to draw an extra card here from Glintsleeve. As we look, he's still a bit land flooded. And here's the flavour of the month in Standard now. Rekindling Phoenix. Again, Siphoner gets in, but he's down to 1 energy, so he can't draw from it next turn. 1 clean answer for Rekindling Phoenix. Settle the Wreckage, and Josh has it on his side. So he's going to take that line. Now here's an interesting play. He's got 1 card in hand. Lorenzo can actually block here and get the Phoenix back next turn, But if Josh has a removal spell, he can actually remove the token so that the Phoenix doesn't come back. So because of that, Lorenzo lets it go. Cycles the fettered pulls on the instep and finds a fatal push. But you can look at Lorenzo here getting massively land flooded. He's going to cycle Canyon Sloth looking for something. Finds a Whirl of Virtuoso. So now does Josh want to take 6 damage, or is he going to get greedy and try and cash in more on the next turn? Let's see if he's prepared to go down to 8. Siphoner will go to 5. If he settles now, then he'll stop Siphoner from drawing cards next turn. He is. He's going to take the 8, so he's going to get the extra Whirl of Virtuoso out of this and a Thopter. But it is going to mean that... Oh, here's an interesting one. Hotley Warrior Poet. +2, gain life equal to the greatest power you control. He can 0 it to create a 3/3 dinosaur with trample. And -X, Hotley deals X damage as you choose among any number of target creatures. In comes Scrap Heap Scrounger. And a chump block there. So he'll get it, draw an extra card from Glintsleeve Siphon. It's a Rekindling Phoenix. And the Knuckleheads will get in now. Well, he's going to cycle first. Find an Essence Scatter. So this is 6, 8. This is lethal coming across. So he's probably wondering what's those 2 cards that Josh is holding. I'm not sure if Settle the Wreckage is on his radar at the moment because we haven't seen any evidence of it in the match so far. But Lorenzo having a long think about this, so I suspect he thought long and hard about that decision. And they come, and there is Settle the Wreckage. So up to this point, Lorenzo has been quite badly land flooded. This will hopefully clear out a few of his lands. You can see 11 lands in play for him now. Down will come Rekindling Phoenix. So he's still very much alive in terms of threats. And here is Whiteley. So we can see now that because Josh is out of cards, this Phoenix can safely block here. Josh is out of cards and he's out of... Oh, actually, no, I didn't see this line. Whiteley can actually minus X and do X damage. So he'll -1 on Whiteley to take down the Elemental. I think that's a massive swing in the match right there. If he had just let that go, he could have swung and it would have been a 2-turn clock. And I think he had the match covered. But now it looks like he's in big trouble. Josh has drawn Arngrath the Flame Chain, which, if we look at the plus on this, each opponent discard a card and lose 2 life. So Arngrath is going to be very good here. And he comes down now. And he will immediately plus, meaning that Lorenzo has to discard. Is this match now starting to swing in the opposite direction? Massive flooding coming on Lorenzo's side. Arngrath will put him down to 8. He desperately needs to get... All he's got is an Aethersphere Harvester. Oh no, he's going to fire off his final card, a Fatal Push. Yeah, so the Aethersphere Harvester is actually Josh's last card. So both players playing off the top of their deck now. So Arngrath is probably just going to be a shock now. Whether Virtuoso is not a bad card. But Lorenzo at 8, so he's got 4 turns of Arngrath. Fumigate's going to clear up that Virtuoso. That's a nice top deck there. Watley will make a Dinosaur. Angrath will plus, and this is looking very bad now. Plays out his Ethersphere Harvester. Actually equips it, so it's going to get in, so it's going to knock him to 3. Lethal on board next turn. He needs to remove that Dinosaur or he's dead. He draws Vraska's Contempt, so it's going to buy him a turn. It'll give him 2 life. So he's going to use that to take down Ungrath. And he's going to concede. So we're on to game 3 now. See, Duress has come in here for Lorenzo. So it's that normal play from Lorenzo, turn to Glint Sleeve Siphoner. Veteran Motorist is going to get him a scry, and it's also going to enable him to equip that Heart of Karan with a +1 on it. So next turn, we're looking at Josh's, Lorenzo's hand at the bottom there. Okay, so his Heart of Karan's going to get in for 5, 8, 9 damage coming across. This is brutal. Lorenzo now in big trouble. Probably has to draw the extra card, goes to 7. Has a tapped land, so he can abrade something down, the Heart of Karan. I would have done that when he went to equip, because then it would have stopped the Veteran Motorist as well. He's going to Duress. Duress will find a Heart of Karan as well. Passes a turn, but a ton of damage about to come across. Cycles the Canyon Sloth. Plays a second Toolcraft Exemplar. So he doesn't have first strike on the Exemplars. I probably would have bought the Beaumont Courier over then as well. It would have been lethal and it would have forced a block. He's going to block the Veteran Motorist, so down to 4. He's dead on board here unless he can get something. Probably Whirl of Virtuoso with the extra blocker. But down to 4. Draws another Veteran Motorist, so this will get him 2 more scries. He doesn't have the 3. He doesn't have the 3 to get first strike. 3. Okay, he can sack the Beaumont Courier coming up here. But more top decks required. He's down to 3. He needs something more than... I think he's just dead now, actually. Harness Lightning can't stop. Yep, he's dead. Rekindling Phoenix could block 1, but the other 2 will get through. And Josh goes 1 step closer to winning. So if we look at the live ladder now, after that game, Josh is pulled into 3rd place. He only needs 1 point to overtake me because he beat me in the head-to-head. So I need Lorenzo to get clean sweeps in the last 2 now. We have Modern coming up, where Lorenzo hasn't done too well this season, only picking up 3 points in his 6 matches. So it's going to be Lorenzo at the top of the screen, Josh Grace at the bottom. Josh is on Jund, which seems to be the most popular here. Lorenzo's on as usual, which is Blue-Black Mill. He's played this all season. Thought Scour finds Archive Trap, which is very good. But unfortunately for him, Josh does not play any fetches at this stage. You can see Josh there awkwardly has nothing to do now. He needs to find a black source next and he can play Liliana. So here's a key card for Lorenzo. Sheldock Isle. He'll hide away a particular card. We don't know what it is. It's hidden. You may play the remove card without paying its mana cost if a library has 20 or fewer cards. Dark Confidant. That'll be good here because Lorenzo doesn't play a lot of creature removal, and his life is not that important. His life level is not that important. Hedron Crab will mill a couple. It mills 2 at a time. So from a fetch, he can mill 4. You can see he's doing that now while Josh is tapped out. He does have a Fatal Push in hand. Yeah, so he's going to get rid of the Dark Confidant. So no card draws for Josh there. Josh will very quickly Abrupt Decay the Hedron Crab away, but he's struggling for mana here. Misses his 3rd land drop. So some serious work can get done here by Lorenzo. Possibly Mind Funeral. We'll see if he wants to fire that off. No, he's going to Ghost Quarter the Black Source. I think that's a misplay there from Lorenzo because... okay, because he searched his library, he wanted to use Archive Trap, which will discard, I think, 13 cards. So, and then follow it up with a Mind Funeral. So that's a big play. If a player searches their library, then Archive Trap doesn't cost anything. Here's Liliana, but Lorenzo have 3 cards left in hand. We can see it's an Oboro and a Snapcaster. Now, whatever he wants to play here, he has to decide because he's going to be discarding the other one to Liliana. So he's going to play out a Snapcaster. Has a second thought. See, he's going again. He plays out the Snapcaster. If he didn't play that Ghost Quarter before, then he could have Snapcasted back a Mind Funeral here. Okay, so his thoughts are. This will come off. He's going to Thought Scour, and I was going to say it comes off if he hits a land, which he does. So now he can play out. Oh no, he's tapped. All right. So he can actually discard that land. But Josh draws an Inquisition, so that plan goes out the window. Fray Insanity will go to the bin. Liliana will actually minus. So Josh draws a card. It's Visions of Beyond. Draw a card. If there's 20 more cards in a graveyard, you get to draw 3 cards. You can see that he's got 40 cards. He's going to play Sheldock Isle, whatever this hideaway card was. We're going to find out. It was Fray Insanity. He can pay it without paying its mana cost. In response, he'll get bolted down to 12. And then he's going to draw 3 cards. So he can actually drown the Catacomb and Mind Funeral here. Next turn. I think you discard the Ensnaring Bridge and then it's game over. Yeah, and there's a concession, so we're going to game 2. Lorenzo takes game 2. Josh is still short of qualifying for the finals. Plays a tapped Raging Ravine and passes the turn. Not an ideal start for Josh. But you can see the awkward lands in Lorenzo's hand as well. It means he's going to have to crack this fetch to play the Hedron Crab turn 1. So he's going to get one less mill out of it. So Thoughtseize turn 2 here is going to take what? Probably Ensnaring Bridge because he's got to get early pressure, yes. Down comes the second Hedron Crab and a Sheldock Isle, so this is going to mill 4. Hides away a card again. And passes the turn. Oh, this is a big play. Maelstrom Pulse is going to clear away all of those Hedron crabs. Lorenzo can cast Mind Funeral this turn, which is what he does. Just bring up that Mind Funeral for you in a second. So target opponent reveals cards from top of his library until 4 land cards are revealed. Puts all those cards into the graveyard. So you can see Josh down to 36 now. Has to kind of fetch aggressively. Finds a Bloodbraid Elf. Bloodbraids into Liliana. That's like the dream combo right there. So he's also got an Inquisition and a Tireless Tracker. So he's setting this one up nicely. Lorenzo has to discard a land here. Draws another Hedron Crab. Well, he's actually going to get 2 activations out of this because he can tap the Field of Ruin to probably get the Raging Ravine, and then it means he gets to fetch as well. This Sheldok Isle is going to be a key card again. We saw it win him the game in the first game. Tireless Tracker with a fetch land, so Josh needs to get pressure. He's out of cards. He needs to get pressure on the board as fast as possible and try and get this done. He's down to 14. Field of Ruin here, targeting the Raging Ravine. But this is going to give Josh an extra clue here. Before the Raging Ravine dies, he actually uses it to draw the clue, which is a Kitchen Finks. The extra land coming down is going to both give him a clue and also give it 2 more mil to the Hedron Crab. Liliana minuses the Hedron Crab after all that comes off the stack. Minuses to kill the Hedron Crab. So Josh now, he's down to 11. There's 7 damage on board. There's a Fraying Sanity. He's going to play out the Fraying Sanity, so he's going to discard Snapcaster Mage. It means that he's going to take 7 next turn, and whatever card he gets off the top or gets from Sheldok Isle has to win him the match. You can see Josh here with 23 cards in hand. Draws an extra one from the clue. I wonder if that's going to be costly. It's a Collective Brutality. He's going to fire that off and see what's going on the other side. He'll only find a Snapcaster Mage. So Josh down to 1. So can he find what he needs right now? Otherwise he's dead. It's a Mesmeric Orb. He still has the Sheldok Isle. So there's the orb. Whenever a permanent becomes untapped, it puts the top card into the graveyard. So there's 2, 4, 6 on the other side, plus the Fraying Sanity would make that 12 is not enough. He needs something that's going to put 10 in. So here he's going for the Sheldok Isle. Sheldok Isle is actually an Archive Trap, and that's going to win him the game. It's the only card that could have actually done that for him. Targeting. Josh is just thinking about it, but I think he realizes I'm dead. He's still thinking. I'll try and bring up this combo sort of thing that's just happened here to enable Lorenzo to take Modern 2 games to 0. So he plays this Fraying Sanity. At the beginning of each end step, enchanted player puts the top X cards of his library into the graveyard, where X is the number of cards put in the graveyard that turn. Now, Archive Trap, as we just pause it for a second, which is what he got from Sheldok Isle. Target opponent puts the top 13 cards into his graveyard. So when you couple that with Fraying Sanity, it means that he's putting 26 cards in the graveyard, which you can see from the top left, he only has 20, which means when he goes to draw next turn, then he's going to be dead. So there's a couple of cards that could have been under Sheldok Isle that Lorenzo would have gotten away with there, but probably his winning play was a couple of turns back when he chose the Fray Insanity over the Snapcaster. That won him the match. So there's the Fray Insanity going to do the last cards. Josh tries to draw and he can't, so he loses the match. So Lorenzo's clean sweep in Modern means that Bob Debonese is the division champion. He cannot be caught by Josh now. And for myself, if Josh manages to get clean sweeped like that in Legacy, I'll take second in the automatic playoff spot. But it all comes down to Legacy now. You can see Lorenzo is down in 7th, first, second, third. You're down in 7th position. He can't catch Chris Sandman now, so he's just playing for pride. Tyler Adams propping up the foot of the table. And we go to Legacy. So we're looking at Josh. He's on Grixis Delver, and this is a pretty traditional the Painter's Servant combo that we see from Lorenzo these days, but Force of Will on the Painter's Servant turn 1. That's not going to happen for him. You can see their shields are down now, no Force of Wills. Here's the Grindstone, so he's going to play up the Grindstone. Pyroblast is a big one here. Counter target spell if it's blue, or destroy target permanent if it's blue. I'll show you the Painter's Servant in just a moment. Here's the key combo that wins. Painter's Servant comes into play, choose a colour, so he's going to choose blue, which means that Pyroblast and Red Elemental Blast will counter everything in the deck. And you just keep all cards that aren't in play, spells and the permanents or chosen colour are blue. So then he combos that with Grindstone, put the top 2 cards into that player's graveyard. If they share a colour, do it again. So you mill them out. So he's got the first part of the combo. The second part that he needs to resolve is Painter's Servant. He's got a number of different ways to find that as well. As Young Pyromancer comes down. Here is one of them, Goblin Welder. Exchange target artifact to player controls for target artifact card in that player's graveyard. Now, Painter's Servant is a artifact card, so because there's one in the graveyard, we can see it there, artifact creature, he can actually get it back with the Goblin Welder. So, Forked Bolt will take down that Goblin Welder before it gets a chance to do that. And it enables Josh to play Gurmag Ungler. So Josh has got a 2-turn clock on the board very quickly. You can see he destroyed the Ancient Tomb, but Josh has got plenty of mana in the grave, so it's not a big deal. He's going to play City of Traders and run out Blood Moon. So now he's cut Josh off of his colours, no black and no blue on the other side, but still needing to top deck something here or he's dead. He doesn't, he gets a Blood Moon, so we're going to game 2. You can see the Imperial Recruiter here is a key card. When it comes into play, search your library for a creature card, power greater. So it's basically a tutor for Painter's Servant. But 2 Simian Spirit Guides means that he can go for a turn 1 Blood Moon here, which would be huge. Unfortunately, there's Force of Will on the other side, and Josh probably very quickly avoids losing the game there. That game 1 win for Josh means he finishes second and qualifies for the finals as well. So Josh cannot improve his overall position here, but he can qualify for Legacy finals. Simian Spirit Guide into Cabal Therapy is the standard 1-2 punch for this deck. So he'll use Pyroblast to counter Brainstorm. You can see a Gurmag Angler on the other side he's going to be able to play out next turn. And he's got a Lightning Bolt. A Pyroblast and a Chandra on the other side, but Lorenzo needs another land. So Gurmag Angler comes down, so Lorenzo now desperately hunting for a land. Cannot find it, so he's going to be taking a hit from Angler here. down to 15. Josh will keep those lightning bolts, 2 of them for any painter's servants, but that's a good pickup. Ensnaring Bridge is going to buy him some time, but you see with 3 cards in hand, he's going to have to find something. 2 counter spells there. There's a painter's servant, so unfortunately he's going to play it tapped out, so lightning bolt will take care of it. Oh no, actually he can guard against it. So bolt down, it's going to meet a counter from Pyroblast. But unfortunately for him, Josh has got 2 lightning bolts, but playing off the top of his deck now. That's going to take, but he does have the Challenger, so if Lorenzo could just find another land here, it would be huge. You see Josh is also stumbling. He's got a Challenger, but Cabal Therapy is going to a very good draw there. It's going to name Challenger because he saw the Challenger earlier. He actually casts the Cabal Therapy on flashback by, we can see that there, sacrifice a creature to flash it back in an exile. So he sacrifice the Gurmag Angler because he's got no way of getting by that Ensnaring Bridge. So here's the Painter's Servant again. So he's 1 piece away. Deathrite Shaman. He's going to use the Elemental Blast to counter that because all cards are blue, but thanks to Painter's Servant. So he's going to start to chip away. There's the second part of the combo. So Josh is, he can play this out now. Josh is dead next turn unless he can top deck something. Grindstone played. Can he top deck? A Wasteland, yes he can. Wasteland will take down City of Traders, so now Lorenzo 2 lands away from being able to activate the Grindstone. That was a big top deck there from Josh. Finds a Brainstorm, so he's going to use this main phase to try and find a threat. Can't find anything, but he does find an Abrade there and a Lightning Bolt. So Abrade will take down the Ensnaring Bridge, Lightning Bolt will take down the Painter's Servant. That was that. So here's a Goblin Welder. Again, that can... Now where's Abrade going here? The Welder or the Bridge? He takes down the Welder, just protects himself against the combo. So, Skyship Weatherlight. This is not something that we see every day here. Very unusual, and a second counter spell. Costs 4 mana, so he's got no hope of playing that. And a second counter spell, so he's got all the right cards, he just doesn't have the mana to do anything with it. Gitaxian Probe's going to counter. That's a pretty aggressive counter. So here's that card, the Skyship Weatherlight. When Skyship Weatherlight comes into play, search your library for any number of artifact cards, remove them from the game. Then you can pay 4 and bring back one of those. So again, Goblin Welder. That's about the 3rd or 4th one we've seen. That'll get fork bolted as well. And you can see Josh now has days, so many answers in hand. Lorenzo just so far off here. So young Pyromancer can get under the Ensnaring Bridge. Okay, he's a Painter's Servant, but again, he's up to 4 cards in hand now, thanks to being denied lands. 3 coming across, Lorenzo down to 8. Another Chandra. This is just painful to watch now. Ponder will be counted. But it gets dazed, so that's going to put 2 more elementals onto the battlefield, and this is looking ominous now. 2, 3, 4, 5 damage coming across, so potentially lethal next turn. . What can he draw? Lion's Eye Diamond will work. But there's a Force of Will that Josh can hardcast here. Does he count? He doesn't counter it. Lion's Eye Diamond, he can actually get rid of his hand. So look at that. So Lion's Eye Diamond, discard your hand, add 3 mana of any colour. He's not interested in the mana, he's interested in getting the cards out of his hand so his Ensnaring Bridge can prevent the next attack. Which is exactly what he just did. And he'll use that mana just to cast Grindstone for a bit. So no attacks this time from Josh, and a pass of the turn. Now if he... Okay, Spellskite cannot be cast, so that's going to mean damage coming across now. He's going to chip in with 3. Dead to a lightning bolt off the top. Ancient Tomb is ironically going to cost him the match because he needs to get that last Spellskite out of his hand, but it's going to cost him 2 damage to tap for the mana. So what an irony to finish the match there. Josh is going to take Legacy 2 games to 0 and advance to the Legacy Finals by winning the division. Lorenzo will tap himself out to die, and this is the final standings. Bob Debonese takes it by 4 points, thanks to Josh getting beaten in Modern. Josh will take the Legacy Final because he finishes even points on with me, but he beat me in the head-to-head. And he might be able to scrape in a wildcard spot in Standard. We'll have to wait until later on in the week. So thank you for joining me.